Everyone who knows Bob Westheimer is aware of his reverence for his family heritage.
And my mother's earliest relative came to Cincinnati in 1833. My father moved here in about 1901.
Bob inherited a tradition of charity for both his parents and from the family.
My father grew up in a large family, and his father was an immigrant, and the thing they most wanted to do was to make America a better place. My mother started a scholarship foundation, which is still in existence in Cincinnati. My father started the Big Brothers Association.
His father, in fact, was a winner of the Great Living Cincinnatian Award.
And Bob Westheimer has followed his parents' lead.
And expanded and did many things that neither of his parents had done.
Bob Westheimer was born when America was at war in Europe. He grew up in a loving home under the supervision of his mother and father and his older brother Charles. First came elementary school, then it was on to Walnut Hills High School. From there to happy college days at his father's alma mater, Cornell. During World War II, Bob worked for the U.S. Air Corps. His significant contributions to the war effort were recognized by a grateful nation. In 1945, Bob met someone who would change his life.
We met right after the war, and it just seemed right.
Their courtship was very brief.
You don't know what you're doing when you're young and impulsive.
Of course, you have to say these brief courtships, marriages never last.
It had no right to work, but it did.
Indeed it did. But Ruth Westheimer has to admit that there was more to this union than youthful impulse.
We had a number of similar interests, both interested in human services and helping to make the community a better place to live.
Bob rejoined the family investment firm. He quickly became known for his wise judgment and his solid integrity, values inherited from his forebears.
My grandfather was chairman of the board of the major bank. He came in the morning and said, the bank's going to have to close. There's a run on it.
When Grandfather Westheimer saw that his sons weren't going to make the daily bank deposit, he said,
"You have no right to use that information. Take the deposit to the bank." That, to me, is a wonderful business story.
Along with his respected integrity, Bob soon gained a reputation as a savvy advisor. Like the television commercials where everyone in the crowd freezes to listen.
When Bob would open his mouth, everybody just leaned forward in anticipation to hear what he would say.
Bob also displayed a probing and an often well-calculated curiosity.
Bob is a good questioner.
His questioning is incisive.
He does ask excellent questions.
The questions have helped me come to better decisions.
He enjoys bringing me along.
A real mentor.
When you can couple an investment with doing good things for people, that really interests Bob.
There's nobody for whom I have greater personal or professional respect.
Bob Westheimer has many more attributes than the ability to ask searching questions.
He's a very thoughtful human being.
Bob has kind of a quiet strength about him.
A quiet charisma.
Quiet confidence.
Quiet manner.
Quiet.
Quiet. Quiet.
If Bob Westheimer is that quiet, how does he accomplish so much?
He's not a shrinking violet, despite the fact that he's quiet.
We had a meeting in Chicago with people from Paris and Europe, institutional leaders. And what really impressed me was his ability to command respect. Before it was over with, Bob had pretty much gained the chairmanship of that meeting.
Bob stays eternally interested.
A lifelong learner.
One of the most intelligent people I know.
A remarkably powerful intellect.
There aren't too many things that he can't comment on.
He's forthright.
Extremely honest.
Caring.
Caring in a very pragmatic way.
Thoughtful.
Dignified.
Principled.
Creative.
Committed.
He's always upbeat.
A Renaissance man.
A very well-rounded person.
Bob Westheimer has always used his remarkable skills and talents in the service of his community.
Bob's biggest contribution is his competence and his leadership.
He knows how to take an organization which is already in existence and help it to achieve its maximum potential.
He has been a terrific volunteer for the United Way and Community Chest.
Played a real leadership role in the growth and development of the Greater Cincinnati Foundation.
Actively involved in the county's Children's Services Commission.
President of the American Jewish Committee Cincinnati chapter.
Played an extremely instrumental role in Choice Cure's success.
He's been involved in so many organizations.
So many that we can't begin to cover them all. This list will give some idea of the many contributions that Bob Westheimer has made through the years. Bob's services have also been recognized by countless grateful organizations and institutions. Bob will acknowledge that much of this has been made possible because of his unique partnership with Ruth.
Bob and Ruth Westheimer are as much in love 50 years after their wedding as they were on the day of the ceremony.
They are the perfect team.
And they devote a lot of time and energy to the causes that they believe in.
They both maintain their own identity.
But he's always respected what I did outside of the home and has been very proud of it. And I think we supplement each other. He's very much a family man, a very good father.
They have 3 pretty fantastic children, working in Bob's model.
We're very proud of all our children. The grandchildren, they're wonderful.
He learned civic care from his father, and now he is passing it on to his children and his grandchildren.
Surprisingly, this busy life has some time for play.
We've covered a lot of the United States, Europe, Africa, the Far East.
But what does Bob do for day-to-day recreation?
He loves his tennis.
We played Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then he and I would play singles on Saturdays.
He gets very competitive on the tennis court.
Most of the time I could beat him until I wrecked my shoulder.
Add to tennis a love of the sea and sailing ships. And there are a couple of physical characteristics that should be noted.
The bow tie has become sort of a trademark.
With his trademark bow tie, his warm smile, one would think that Bob Westheimer has no concerns. They would be very wrong.
Our school problems disturb me a lot. They're very difficult. It isn't the schools are worse, it's the problems of the children coming to school are worse. It's awfully hard to teach a child who's hungry, whose parent has been out looking for a job and hasn't gotten one, or it's the family breakup. That's the biggest problem. We have to consider all of those things, and we can make things better, but the problems of the children coming to school are very severe.
Bob Westheimer calls to us all. Be aware, be concerned, get involved.
He has brought to his civic involvement a philosophy about what the city can be and what the city should be.
If all of us in our community did a quarter of what he has done, we'd be living in a utopian setting.
He is Cincinnati in so many ways.
We need more people like that.
We need to clone him.
Ladies and gentlemen, not a clone, but the genuine article. Robert Westheimer, indeed, a great living Cincinnati.